1. U.S. National Guard hacked by Salt Typhoon, cyber-espionage threat revealed. 2. Salt Typhoon hackers breach U.S. Army National Guard network. What you need to know. 3. National Guard hacked by Chinese Salt Typhoon group, DHS reveals. 1. U.S. National Guard hacked by Salt Typhoon, cyber-espionage threat revealed. In a shocking revelation, a memo has disclosed that a unit of the U.S. Army National Guard was significantly breached by a Chinese cyber-espionage group known as Salt Typhoon during the year 2024. This alarming information comes from a document released by the Department of Homeland Security, which was acquired by Property of the People, an organization dedicated to transparency in national security matters. The memo indicates that between March and December of 2024, the hackers managed to extensively compromise the network of an unnamed state's Army National Guard. They successfully extracted sensitive maps and data traffic that connected with networks across all other U.S. states and at least 4 territories. This breach raises serious concerns about the security of military and governmental data, as it suggests a level of infiltration that could have far-reaching implications. Despite attempts to reach out, neither the National Guard nor the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, from the Department of Homeland Security responded promptly to inquiries regarding this incident. The initial report of this memo was made public by NBC News, highlighting the urgency of the situation. Salt Typhoon has quickly become a major concern for American cybersecurity experts. U.S. officials assert that this hacking group is not merely interested in intelligence gathering. They are allegedly positioning themselves to disrupt critical U.S. infrastructure in the event of a conflict with China. It is important to note that the Chinese government has consistently denied any involvement in these cyber intrusions, which adds another layer of complexity to the situation. The memo, which references information from the Pentagon, warns that the successful infiltration of the Army National Guard networks by Salt Typhoon could severely weaken local cybersecurity initiatives aimed at safeguarding critical infrastructure. This is particularly concerning because these military units are often integrated with state fusion centers that are responsible for disseminating threat information, including potential cyber threats. As we reflect on this situation, one must ask, how prepared are we to defend against such sophisticated cyber threats? What measures can be taken to enhance our cybersecurity frameworks? The implications of this breach are profound, and it invites a broader discussion about the vulnerabilities within our national defense systems. We encourage you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you believe our cybersecurity measures are sufficient, or is there more that needs to be done? 2. Salt Typhoon hackers breach U.S. Army National Guard network. What you need to know. Did you know that hackers linked to China have successfully breached a U.S. state's Army National Guard network since March? This revelation comes from a Department of Homeland Security intelligence memo in June, exposing the Salt Typhoon group's infiltration and data theft. The breach poses a significant threat to the National Guard's ability to safeguard critical American infrastructure. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats are pushing for improved emergency response capabilities at the Department of Veterans Affairs through the Advancing VA's Emergency Response to Crises Act. This bill, led by Senators Richard Blumenthal and Mazie Hirono, aims to enhance coordination with FEMA and streamline emergency management offices following recent natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, federal entities are expected to phase out non-English content from forms, notices, and websites, aligning with a recent order that designates English as the official language in the U.S. The Justice Department is urging agencies to leverage AI for multilingual support where necessary. On another front, the Trump administration is allowing limited telework for federal employees seeking religious accommodations in response to a Supreme Court ruling. Moreover, federal employees now have more options for rideshare services during business travel, thanks to the General Services Administration's updated agreement with Uber for Business. In a positive trend, agencies have hit a record high in awarding contracts to small businesses, surpassing previous year's achievements. However, House Republicans are proposing significant budget cuts for agencies like the National Science Foundation and the Environmental Protection Agency in the upcoming fiscal year. The Trump administration is also gearing up to introduce new cybersecurity policies, focusing on zero-trust cybersecurity and other initiatives. Notably, President Trump has nominated Lieutenant General Sean Bratton as the next Vice Chief of Space Operations, signaling potential changes in leadership within the Space Force. Lastly, recent defense policy bills emphasize a pay raise for service members and improvements in military construction and healthcare access. These developments highlight the evolving landscape of government operations and priorities. 3. National Guard hacked by Chinese Salt Typhoon Group, DHS reveals. Imagine a scenario where a sophisticated Chinese cyber-espionage group infiltrated a state's National Guard network undetected for nearly a year. This isn't just any breach, it's a serious security incident that highlights the vulnerabilities within our defense systems. But here's where it gets controversial. The Department of Defense attributes this hack to a group known as Salt Typhoon, a name that has become synonymous with some of the most extensive cyber-espionage campaigns against the United States. According to a Department of Homeland Security memo from June, the Salt Typhoon Group managed to gain deep access to a U.S. state's Army National Guard network from March 2024 through December. While the memo doesn't specify which state was targeted, the implications are significant. The hackers may have obtained sensitive military or law enforcement data, though the full extent of what was accessed is still under investigation. This information comes from a memo obtained by NBC News through Property of the People, a nonprofit focused on national security transparency. The National Guard Bureau confirmed the breach, but was tight-lipped about specifics, stating that the attack hasn't hindered their operational capabilities, and that they are continuing to investigate the full scope of the intrusion. China's embassy in Washington neither denied nor confirmed the involvement of the Chinese government in the Salt Typhoon operations. Instead, they emphasized that cyberattacks are a global concern and pointed out that the U.S. has yet to provide concrete evidence linking Salt Typhoon directly to China's state security services. What makes Salt Typhoon particularly alarming is their ability to move seamlessly between different organizations. Last year, U.S. authorities discovered that Salt Typhoon had breached at least 8 major telecommunications companies, including AT&T and Verizon, allowing them to intercept calls and messages related to high-profile political figures such as Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and Chuck Schumer. Given that National Guard units operate under both federal and state command structures and often collaborate with local law enforcement, the Salt Typhoon breach could potentially provide Beijing with insights into other states' National Guard operations and their cybersecurity partners. The DHS report suggests that the hackers gained access to detailed maps of geographic locations, network diagrams, and personal information of service members within the targeted state. In January, the Treasury Department added a Sichuan-based company to its sanctions list for allegedly assisting Beijing's Ministry of State Security in Salt Typhoon activities. This move underscores the ongoing nature of the threat and the complexity of attributing cyberattacks to specific entities. It's worth noting that once Salt Typhoon establishes a foothold, it can be incredibly difficult to eliminate. In the cases of AT&T and Verizon, both companies initially believed they had contained the threat, but there are reports suggesting that Salt Typhoon operatives could remain undetected for up to 3 years in compromised environments. So, what does this mean for the future of cybersecurity? How confident can we be in the security of our critical infrastructure? These are questions that deserve careful consideration. As we navigate this evolving landscape, it's crucial to stay vigilant and continuously improve our defensive strategies. What do you think? Should more stringent measures be taken to protect against such sophisticated attacks?